Leaders, we got more work to do. All right, so tonight it's a pretty good thing that we're going to define the gospel for you. And here's what you guys need to know. And we talked about this in student leadership. If you can't explain the gospel, you don't know it well enough. And I'm pretty convinced if you can't explain the gospel to somebody else, you probably don't really have a grasp on your own salvation, your own understanding of who Jesus is. You guys should know this to a point where you could explain it to somebody else, because that shows that you know it for yourself. So lucky for you, we're going to explain the gospel. If this is our mission to carry this out, we got to know what the gospel is, what the good news is. And here it is in the simplest way that I can say it. Part number one is that you and I are created by God. You and I are created by God. All right? And I'm going to add up, for those of you in student leadership, I'm adding this part. Part number one, you and I are created by God. Part number two, you and I are sinful people. We've fallen short. We mess up. We make mistakes. We do things that separate us from God because He is holy and perfect and we are not. And I think we can all say that none of us here are holy and perfect, right? We all fall short. We all make mistakes, as everybody does in the world. So we're created by God, but yet we've separated ourselves from Him because He is holy and perfect and we are not. So therefore, holy and perfect and not holy and perfect can't be together. It's like snow and mud. But in God's desperate love for us, for His people, for you and I, for all of us, He sent His own Son, Jesus, to die on the cross and take the penalty which we deserve, the punishment for our mistakes, for our sin, for all of those things, to be put onto Christ, so that Christ's righteousness, Christ's goodness, the life He lived, which was perfect, without sin, could be imparted onto us, could be stamped onto you. So imagine that God sent Jesus to take the punishment you deserve, we all deserve, for the stupid stuff we do, the sin we do, and that Jesus' life, which is perfection, would be stamped on you. So now when God looks at you, He doesn't see your sin, doesn't see your mistakes, but He sees Christ's perfection in you, Christ's righteousness. The theological word for that is called sanctification. So that's what God looks at you and sees. And in Jesus' death on the cross and then raising from the dead, He overcomes death, stamps on all those who would put their faith in Him and believe in Him, His righteousness, so that we can now be in relationship with God again, who loves us beyond any kind of love we could ever grasp. And that's where we are at. That's the gospel. That you're created by God, but we're far from Him because of our sin. Jesus died so that we could have His righteousness stamped on us, so that we could once again be in relationship with God. That's the gospel, guys. That is the gospel. So that's the message that we are to take everywhere we go. That's the mission that we are to live out, is the gospel. Everywhere we go, everyone we meet. And that's good news. Why? Because it says, man, we can have a relationship with God. We have a Savior who loves us, died for us, cares about us, changes our lives. That's the message of Jesus. That's the message of the gospel. So here's my challenge to you. If you're serious about Christ, if you really want to live for Him, then you should want to live missional. You should want to live a missional life. And if you're serious about living a missional life, you got to understand the gospel. And when you understand the gospel and you really put your faith in it, put your faith in who Jesus is and what He did, you cannot help but be infectious in that. And the more you spread that, man, you're going to see so many people's lives change. So the question tonight is, how do you live missional where you're at? How many of you guys are in public school here? Public schoolers, raise your hand. Okay, quite a few of you. How many of you guys are in? How many of you are in Visca? Raise your hand. Okay, anybody that doesn't go to Visca but goes to another private school, raise your hand. You're a liar. Not you, her. Okay, so a bunch of you are in private, a bunch of you are in public. You guys are in different phases of life. Now, even though some of you may go to private Christian schools, we know that in many ways is no easier at all to live for Jesus. It has its own sets of struggles and challenges that we talked about in student leadership today. So those of you who are in public school, those of you in private school, man, you all have your challenges. It can be really difficult and hard to live missionally. to share the gospel with people. And in fact, you can even ask the question, how does that even look? How do I even do that? What does that mean for me to live missionally every day? And here's what I'm telling you first and foremost, is that God has not called you guys to be on the sidelines. He's called you to be in the game. Right here, right now. Tomorrow when you go to school, God has called you to be missional. He's called you to live it out. Not wait till you get married, not wait till you go to college, not wait till you become old and grow up and get a real job. No, He's called you to be missional right now. So the question is, how do I do that? And here's what we're going to do. We're going to call up some people and we're going to do a little interview. And what I did is we selected 3 of your peers, 3 students involved in student leadership. And then we have 2 adults. Both are your leaders. One is younger. He's just graduated. I believe he's just starting to pursue his master's and in a place where he's pursuing to see what God has for the rest of his life as far as a job-wise. So he's kind of in the middle place. And then the other is well established with her career and what God is doing, has a lot of experience with living missional in her life. So here's what I need. I need my 3 students. You know who you are. Nikki, John, and Nathaniel. They come on up. And then I got, and then we got our 2 leaders who are Vinny and Annette, if you guys would come. I'll probably stand actually. Yeah. Hey, I'll use the other mic and I'll pass this. All right. So first things first, I think we need a little introduction just to really get to know these guys. So I'm going to give the mic to Vinny here, and I'm going to ask them some questions. They're going to pass the mic down, and they're going to answer these questions. And here's the goal, okay? These guys really don't know what questions I'm going to ask them at all. I haven't prepped them at all. The goal is that through their lives, and all of them are different places in their lives, have different struggles and challenges, different perspectives and all that. But through their answers, we as a group can understand what it means to live missionally for Jesus better. And where you are at your life, where you are in your life, no matter what it is, you can gain something from what these guys share, and we can collectively kind of grow. And tomorrow when we step out of here and we step into whatever place you're going to step into, you can have a clearer understanding of what can God do in my life. What does it mean for me to live missional? So before we get to the serious questions, let's find out. State for us your name, what you do. Okay, so whether it's student or if you have a job, whatever that is. And why don't we do your age too? Your name, age, unless you don't want to. What you do, and how long you've been a part of Omni.
Okay. My name's Vinny. I'm 22. Right now I'm going to school for my master's. I just finished an internship in the summer, and I'm going to be starting a new job soon. So I guess you could rack that up as unemployed. And I've been a part of Omni for probably, I guess, 8 years when you consider being a leader and being a student.
Okay, my name is Annette. I am a...
22?
Thank you, Josh.
22 years old.
I'm over 40, and that's about as much as you're going to get, unless my son gives me away. I own and work in a hair salon. I've been doing that. Well, no, I can't say that, because then you'll know how old I am. I've had my own business, though, for 26 years. I've been in Omni as it is now since Pastor Jared came, but I've been in youth ministry since I was 25.
Yeah. I'm Nikki. Thanks guys. Thanks everyone. I'm 17. I'm a senior, finally. I go to Limbrook High School. What do I do? I'm a student, yeah. Babysit. I've been at Omni for 6 years. Yeah, it's 6 years.
My name is Nathaniel. Really? No one? Everyone else got cheers. Thank you, Matthew. I'm 17. I think my